On Friday, the world said a poignant goodbye to the greatest. Muhammad Ali laid to rest in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. A fitting send-off for perhaps sport's most iconic figure of the 20th century. Enormously emotional for his family, everyone in the fight game, and so many other public figures. Well, it really is the end of a very special era. Ali, so much bigger than boxing. Hi there. Thanks for your company. Alongside me, Jamie Moore, who, like all fighting men, couldn't help but be inspired by the great man. Jamie, for you, what made him so special?
Well, for me, Ed, he was an unbelievable human being. You know, he was a great man, a terrific fighter, first and foremost. You know, that was sort of what made his name. But behind that, he was an unbelievable human being. He was a great man, and some of the stuff he did to sort of the stuff what he stood up for. You know, when he refused to go to the Vietnam War and was stopped from boxing for nearly 4 years. You know, took away a big part of the prime of what would have been the prime of his career. So we never quite know how good he could have been in that point of his career. But you know, for him to stand up for what he felt was right, and then miss that part of his career, for me, was sort of the testament to the character he was.
As far as his boxing career goes, he beat Sonny Liston to become the youngest heavyweight champion of the world at that time. 3 times he won basically the undisputed world heavyweight title. Some legacy.
It is. And at that time, you know, some say the only legitimate 3-time heavyweight champion, because the title's been fragmented since that point in time. So for him to do that at a point in time when it was so difficult to do it is, again, a testament to the sort of fighter he was.
Well, we've had a team in Louisville all week, and Andy Scott reflects on a truly special life.
He belonged to the world, and the world belonged to him. But to the end of his astonishing life, Louisville, Kentucky was the place Muhammad Ali called home. And it was entirely fitting that it is here that thousands were able to stand and pay their respects to a man whose like none of us will ever see again. It was on the steps of his childhood home in Grand Avenue in the city's West End that Ali, then Cassius Clay, would sit with his brother and dream of all that they would do with their lives. It was at the Columbia Auditorium on South 4th Street that, as a brash, outraged 12-year-old, he strode into Joe Martin's boxing gym, yelling and screaming that his brand new red bicycle had been stolen. An incident that has gone into legend as the moment his love affair with boxing began. Martin, a local policeman, suggested that if he was going to make such threats, he better learn how to back them up. It was at Central High School that he told his teachers that he was going to be the heavyweight champion of the world. And it was in and around Chickasaw Park that he put in the miles before school, showing the kind of discipline that made his headmaster at the time predict that he would be more famous and wealthy than any of those who taught him put together. It wasn't all romance and glittering success, of course. Ali, as a black youngster growing up here, was aware each and every day that there were places he could not go, restaurants that he could not eat in, water fountains and restrooms he could not use. If the story that he threw his Olympic gold medal into the Ohio River in disgust at being refused service in a restaurant turned out to be false, then the sentiment was accurate. But in the end, it showed the world what an extraordinary man he had become. And as the rest of his long life brought its immense physical, moral, and psychological tests, Ali proved time and time again, both in and out of the ring, just how very special he was. The people of Louisville always knew that. After all, this was the place that nurtured him, that was home to the folk who knew him best, and to whom he would return in private year after year. Now in their thousands, they have had their chance to say their own very special farewell. And we ourselves have the privilege of being here to bear witness that the world was a better place for Muhammad Ali having passed through it. May he rest in peace.
Well, here's Andy with Johnny Nelson for further thoughts from Louisville.
With the world watching the Louisville Lip the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, was laid to rest in the place of his birth, Louisville, Kentucky. Johnny Nelson, you've been here all week, and it's been a real mix of emotions, sadness at his passing, but also a celebration of his life.
Of course, at first when you get here, it was like a carnival atmosphere. People were bragging and boasting, saying, "I met this man. This is how he touched my life." And not just sportsmen and women, anybody. If they met him, so everybody says they met him, everybody says they knew him, everybody said they'd experienced something from him. And it was just so special because they were proud to brag and boast to say, yes, I knew him. And then when you went to the funeral itself and you saw his daughters crying, his family's crying, then he had that human touch. You thought, you know what, he was somebody's father, somebody's husband, somebody's brother. And that's when all of a sudden you thought, this is for real. To me, it's been an experience to say I was there, because I will never experience seeing anything like this before again, should I say, because kings and queens would never get a send-off like this. Princes and paupers would never get a send like this. All the people turned up to see this man go, and I think it was very, very special.
Yeah, the mayor said that over 100,000 people were lining the streets. One question for you, what do you think his legacy will be?
His legacy will be, he changed the world, and he literally did. He said he was the prettiest, he was the greatest, and I think, you know what, I can't think of any king, any queen that has made such a difference. He at a time in 1950s, 1960s America, when there was segregation, there was racial tension, he said the things that people were scared to say. He did the things that people were scared to do, and he made people open their eyes. And it wasn't Ali that changed his point of view. It was a world that changed their point of view. He stuck to what he believed in from day one. So I just think, you know, he's talking about giving you courage to stand up and believe in what you're saying, even if people are saying you're wrong at the time. And so I think he set an example for a lot of people coming through.
Yeah, well said, Johnny. Louisville did him proud. Rest in peace, Muhammad Ali.
Yes, a fitting send-off for boxing royalty, Jamie.
Absolutely. You know, I totally agree with what Johnny was saying there. Some of the stuff, as I said before, what he stood up for, and the way he went about it, you know, he did change people's opinions of that thing in that period of time. You know, there was a lot of racial tension and a lot of segregation, and it was probably stuff what people didn't want to speak about, but he was quite openly, you know, willing to speak about it and stand up for what he felt and what was right, and he did go a long way in changing that. So you know, as Johnny said, he's probably one of the most famous people what's ever walked the planet, and rightly so, you know, for all the right reasons as well.
These are the scenes on Friday, a 19-mile journey which took 2 hours to his final resting place. And it was a strange atmosphere in a way, because it was a celebration on one part, people cheering his name, but obviously so sombre for the family as well. It was difficult because he'd been ill for so long. Yeah. And people did want to celebrate his life, but at the same time, very sad.
Of course, and sometimes it is like that, you know. It was very, very sad to see the way he was getting, and sometimes from a family point of view, you just want to see him, you know, not suffer anymore. And certainly somebody as great as Muhammad Ali, so yeah, there was going to be celebration, but at the same time, it's sad and it's heartbreaking. You know, funerals are like that.
And other heavyweight champions involved in the proceedings, pallbearers Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, one-time rivals, but
what
united.
An honour. What an absolute honour for those two, and Will Smith, you know, who played him in the Ali film. What an honour to be able to carry, you know, such a human being who'd done so much for the world and changed the world so much.
Will we ever see anyone like him again? I mean, he'll be imitated, but he was unique in his own way.
Exactly, and I really don't. I think he'll be one of those sort of people who's talked about for generations and generations to come. And as you say, there will be people trying to sort of copy what he's done in the past, and rightly so, because he's done some phenomenal things, but I don't think we'll ever see the like of him again.
He was an incredible fighter, but it's, as you say, it's not just what he did in the ring. It's everything. It's the whole package with him, isn't it?
Exactly, and he used boxing as his platform to get his point across. It was an easy thing to do because he was such a terrific fighter. So first and foremost, he had to be a very good fighter, and he had to be able to talk, and all those things what made him a good fighter allowed him to get his point across and change the world. At the end of the day, he changed the world, and it was an unbelievable thing.
Yes, the end of an incredible era, a heavyweight great who truly shook up the world, the incomparable Muhammad Ali.